Find your shelter in hope, says the Devil Wears Prada in their song Outnumbered. Sometimes, when you feel like you don't have much to hold on to, hope is the only thing left. And it can be shown in various ways. Let's dive into it. I promise, this episode won't turn into a live, love, love motivational speech. First of all, I have to admit that I slightly adapted the lyrics to use them for my episode. If you don't know the song, it is from the Devil Wears Prada EP Zombie. 5 songs taking us through a zombie apocalypse. The actual lyrics are find your post, find your shelter in hopes of outliving the undead. Not much we can relate to, at the moment at least, fingers crossed. But if you just take find your shelter in hope, this is actually a lyric that really helped me back when it was released in 2010. Even more considering that The Devil Wears Prada has been my first favorite band, and I finally saw them headline a show this month, after more than 15 years. They opened with Mammoth from their album Death Throne, which is maybe my favorite work from them, and just alternated between new and old songs. My 15-year-old and 30-year-old selves were spoiled. Anyway, hearing this sentence from the band I love the most really helped me stay optimistic at times. Because I am not the most optimistic person. I even often imagine the worst and 300 different scenarios, and in the end, everything turns out fine. The main way hope is keeping me somehow positive is to tell myself that something that didn't work out the way I expected it to was just a way to get to something better in the future. If I didn't get this job, this means I will find a better one later. If my relationship didn't work with this partner, that means a better one is waiting for me. Turns out this one was very true. And even if really there seems to be nothing that can fix the situation, at least I know that time heals everything. Sometimes it takes its time, but eventually it does. There are several ways into which hope can show up. The one that I think is the most obvious is religion. I am an atheist. I also don't know much about religion, but you can see all around the world that faith is sometimes what keeps people going. Prayers are just a way of hoping that things will get better, asking a greater force for help. And on paper, I actually like the concept of religion, at least some parts of it, and when used well. In a lot of them, I feel like the main principle is just to be a good person, to show love, and to have faith in that greater force, but also in people. And maybe I have this view because I grew up with 2 very religious grandparents. They would go to church every Sunday. However, they never tried to convert me. They took me to church when I wanted to go with them, so that it was not my thing. I was around 7 years old and found it annoying to stand and sit all the time. Maybe that's not a good reason to not like going to church, but anyway. And they just never forced me. They were also very involved in a local food bank to help people who didn't get the means to get food. I have never heard them criticize anyone for who they are based on whatever the Bible says. So in my head, this is what a perfect religious person is. And whoever uses parts of their holy book to spread hate or even create wars are the people who give religion a bad name. Another way I can see to find hope is in science. This is not really religion, but still I think it is something where we hope for something bigger or the universe to tell us we are on the right path. Just this morning, I saw a lot of 4s on my phone screen. My battery was charged at 44%, it was 4 degrees, and there were 4s in the time too, all on the same screen. I checked what the number 4 means, and it said something in the lines of work that something concrete will happen. So, of course, me looking for a job, I saw it as a bit of hope that I will find soon. Have you seen the movie A Very Long Engagement? It's a French movie happening during World War I. The movie follows the fiancé of a soldier. She sees in the newspaper that he's dead. However, she refuses to believe it. So she tries to find signs anywhere she can. If I can get there before this car, he's not dead. Things like this. And I think this is something a lot of us use. I would see signs as the universe's way of making us do something for our good. The last example I have of this is actually related to the Devil Wears Prada. I wanted to go buy something but had zero motivation. So I took my time and eventually went, maybe 2 hours after I decided that I needed to go. And to go back home, I took a different path from what I usually do, just because. And when I was almost home, I see a guy and just think to myself that he has a cool style. And just half a second later, I'm like, wait. That was Mike Ranica, the vocalist from The Devil Wears Prada. And they were playing in Munich the day after, the day I saw them. I usually don't go and talk to band members, but here I just had to. So, Mike, I'm very sorry, you were the one. But I just said hi, told him how much I love the band and that I was excited for the show. That was a short interaction because, as usual, I don't want to bother, but he was very kind and that made me really happy. So, of course, I could have gone outside 2 hours before, take the normal ride I usually take and not meet him, but no, I didn't, and everything led me to meet him. It is probably a bit of a stretch, I admit it, but still, I like to see it as signs of the universe pushing you for something that is good for you, or that at least will brighten up your day. In the same vein, but on a greater scale, think about all those people who were late, who cancelled something, and should have been in a plane that crashed on holiday where a hurricane happened. Things like that. If it happened to me, I would not be able to tell myself that this was just random. Sometimes it can also help us make decisions. Who has never flipped a coin on something? This is just our way to help us have this little push and give ourselves hope that things will work out. Sometimes we also look for signs when there is no hope left, trying to find a glimpse of it. When you lost someone, whether that they are just not in your life anymore or because they passed away, you see things that remind you of them all the time. And so you interpret this as a sign of they are thinking about me or they're not here physically anymore, but they're still around. And we know that sometimes we see more things like this because unconsciously we look for them, but still it gives a bit of solace. I said I was an atheist, but according to this, I might mostly be deist or agnostic. I'm not sure of the difference between those two, but it's just that we don't really believe in a God up there, but in something just like the universe itself that influences our destiny. And for other ways for us to find hope, we also have all of those things related to superstition, whether they are good or bad. Having lived in Germany and France, clinking glasses without looking into the other person's eyes or crossing with someone else is bad luck. Almost everyone does it. I think it's mostly those things where most of us don't really believe in it, but just in case. Sometimes I also do things mostly to manifest good things. I have a bottle of champagne in my fridge and I won't touch it until I find a job. Apparently, having one in your fridge means that something worth celebrating is going to happen. Maybe I haven't manifested hard enough because I haven't had the occasion to drink it yet. Or maybe there were things to celebrate, but I was so focused on my job search that I didn't even see it that way. Talking about manifesting, this is also a way to keep your hopes up. Manifesting is the idea that through the power of belief, we can effectively think a goal into becoming reality. I think of it in two ways. It may seem like a lazy way of asking something to the universe and thinking that just thinking about it will make it work. But actually, I think it also wires our brain into actually getting shit done. Our brains are very complicated, but also very simple at the same time. If you keep repeating something to yourself, it will believe in it. So think about this thing you want to create. You visualize it, you think about it, you are manifesting that you will make it. And then your brain believes in you. It gives you the confidence to actually do it. And it can work for any goal, whether it is personal, like meeting someone, loving yourself a bit more, or professional, like getting this promotion you want. So, yeah, of course, just thinking about it won't make you achieve those things. However, the law of attraction might help you with that. By manifesting, you are more hopeful, more optimistic. And an optimistic brain has more motivation, more drive. Keep that little guy in your skull happy. Way harder said than done, I know. And all of those can be seen as ways to not take accountability or ownership of our own decisions. Relying on something else, sometimes we don't even know what, to lead our lives. This way, if something doesn't go right or as planned, this is not entirely our fault. But I mostly see it as a way of staying positive, keeping our head high, and finding the motivation to keep on going. And maybe it is actually also a way of trying to have control over things we cannot really control. Sometimes you do everything right and it still doesn't work out. And it is hard to let go. And hope is there to help you go through it once you've been disappointed. But I also know that sometimes hope can backfire. You put so much hope into something for it not to happen in the end, and the fall in that case can hit very hard. So it definitely happens that I don't put too much hope in things, or at least my rational side takes over, trying even to completely give up on hope, but only in a way so that if it actually happens, it can only be a good surprise. But my spiritual side, should I call it that way, and even my delusional side are still in the back of my head. Thinking about it, I actually think I have more hope when things don't go well. And hope for me is just to think that things will get better in the end. And when things are going very well, I am more on the rational side, trying to find solutions to keep it going and not actually losing it. Maybe it's just that when things don't go well, my rational side knows that there is nothing left and just gives up. However, my delusion is always here to try and cheer me up. It's the funny balance between seeing the glass half full or half empty. And what about you? What do you hold on to when things feel uncertain? And are you a glass half full or half empty type of person? Hope comes in many forms, whether it's faith, signs from the universe, or simply believing that things will work out in the end. Maybe it's superstition, maybe it's manifestation, or maybe it's just our way of staying motivated when life feels unpredictable. But at its core, hope is what keeps us moving forward. Of course, hope isn't always a guarantee. Sometimes it lets us down, sometimes we try to push it away to avoid disappointment. But even then, it has a way of sneaking back in because deep down, we all want to believe that things can get better. And maybe, just maybe, they will. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you liked it, you can leave a comment or a review and also follow me on Instagram at IntoTheCavePod. I will see you again next week. And meanwhile, be kind to yourself. Bye!